Week 2 discussion is asking how can all the teams be successful and make money at the same time, if that's what my understanding is about the question from Dr. Barnhill. And I wouldn't say all the teams, but at least everybody being competitive. And as we know, every team cannot win because you have to have a winner and a loser. But when you look at sports, especially football, basketball, and even baseball, professional baseball, every single sport has their own dynamic of how they handle free agency and collective bargaining and who makes money and who doesn't make money. And now with the NBA, the building of the super teams, or in the NFL, which I think they've always been able to get put a collaboration of good players and win, or in the world of Bill Belichick, a system, get you one superstar player and a system, and that system works for anyone that you plug in, and you're always successful. And the same goes for Greg Popovich with the San Antonio Spurs. It's a system, and it's a small market with San Antonio, and he plugs in whatever player, and it works for him. And the same thing goes for baseball. You look at your smaller market teams, which I consider Cleveland to be a small market team. I consider Tampa Bay to be a small market team, and even Kansas City last year to be a small market team, as well as Pittsburgh, small market teams that always seem to win and still have a great fan base to where they can make money, and the fans can be happy as well. Now, yes, in the case of Major League Baseball, everyone doesn't get to the World Series, but it can definitely make a run at the playoffs, and if not making the playoffs, close enough to a wild card to where, everyone is sitting on pins and needles cheering for their team and trying to get it there. In the likes of the NBA, when you have teams like Milwaukee, San Antonio, the Pelicans down in New Orleans, then you're looking at smaller market teams to where they have to get those superstars, and they have to have a draw to where superstars wouldn't want to go and actually play. In the case of Cleveland, and I use Cleveland because Cleveland is a smaller market. It's probably bigger than Charlotte and New Orleans, but it's not a destination place. So who would want to play in Cleveland? Well, if you have the world's greatest basketball player, then you will have guys that may want to get on that bandwagon. But in the case of the owner of the Cavaliers, he had to spend gobs of money to put all those pieces together to make it work, and it worked. It didn't hurt not to have the best player on your team, and he just makes everybody around him better. Sticking with the NBA, looking at the Golden State Warriors, they put the super team together by adding a Kevin Durant. But they already had a great fan base. They had a great fan base, and 2 years straight, they had league MVP, and they also made it to the NBA Finals, winning one and losing one with the team that they had. Now, by adding Kevin Durant, everyone is like, oh, wow, they're going to win everything. That still remains to be seen, because I know it's going to take a lot of effort and work on their part, and for Steve Kerr to get the kinks out of those gentlemen and making them all mesh. But while Durant was in Oklahoma City, they had a great team as well. They played in the NBA Finals. They were always there in the playoffs. They had two major superstars and role players, and they were there. They had fans, They were making money. It's a much smaller market. It's in the Southwest. The culture is totally different, and they were winning compared to the LA Lakers that is in one of the second largest media market and can pay whatever money known to man to get the stars, and no one wants to play here. Whereas before, that was a destination. I mean, this was a destination place for many NBA guys. As for the NFL, you look at New England Patriots. Boston is a major media market, but the way Belichick just plugs guys in from wherever, if they're on their last leg, he plug them in and it actually works. And Mr. Kraft, who's the owner, has the money to pay the guys, and he makes the money as well from the stands. And I just think that with free agency allows these teams to find money, to put teams together to win, to keep people in the stands. So are you making money? Are you putting teams together to keep people in the stands, or are you making money by getting these players to win championships? Everyone is different. I think some owners want to win championships. Some owners want to just continue to be successful, especially in the smaller markets where they can constantly have their revenue up by always putting a good product on the floor, on the field, or on the baseball diamond. One last thing, if you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates, small media market, Andrew McCutchen is their best player. He's a megastar. And they have been successful. They have not been to a World Series, but they're trying to move him now because he demands so much money. In order for them to keep up, they can't pay him all this money and have a bunch of role players around him. They would rather split his money up and get 4 or 5 good players to keep them competitive in the National League East. So I just think all in all, you have to balance your checkbook with these stars. If you want to get 4 or 5, you have to have a big checkbook to pay them all. But if not, you can have 1 or 2 and just plug in with some real good role players that know their role, that understand their role, and they're ready to do whatever it takes to be successful. So you win on both ends. You have a successful team and you have fans always in the stands.